So, Godzilla has returned to his dark roots. What do you do next? Well, you build a universe around it. I'm Demetrius, and welcome to the Brumakian podcast. This is an episodic review series where I can review anything but not everything, which includes monster movies, both big and small, anime, and video games. This week is Godzilla vs. Biollante. The Return of Godzilla, released on December 15, 1984, was a marginal success, becoming the second most watched movie of the year, which is good for Toho. Tomoyuki Tanaka, following the movie's release, announced a sequel a year later. But here's the thing, he was skeptical of its possibilities. This was hammered home as King Kong Lives in 1986 performed terribly at the box office, which convinced Toho that the audience was not ready for a continuation of the Godzilla franchise. That is, until Little Shop of Horrors came out in 1986 also, that Tanaka finally relented. He then proceeded to make a story writing contest for a possible script. Unlike The Return of Godzilla, it was going to be monster versus monster. Kazuki Omori was hired as the director for the job of finding a writer, despite the fact that he and Tanaka had hostility towards one another. The person that Omori chose was Mr. Shinichiro Kobayashi, who had written this story with the hypothetical death of his daughter in mind. It is noted that he included biotechnology rather than radiation, in which a scientist, after grieving over his daughter's death, decided to merge her genes with a rose, because I'm pretty sure that's not gonna backfire at all. This was what Mr. Kobayashi had this to say on the matter. The original idea was to find something that could match Godzilla's power and terror if we were bringing back Godzilla, but simply letting the monsters fight each other had been done many times, and clearly there was a limit to it. So in order to bring Godzilla back properly, we had to create an opponent that can fight properly. If there was something equivalent to the terror of nuclear power, it must be the biotechnology in which human beings would manipulate life, because it can be very dangerous if it goes the wrong way. Ethically, I guess. This is where I found the connection, so the idea of a monster that was created by biotechnology was born. As far as the other factor, he wasn't afraid to include some supernatural elements in the script, case in point, a psychic girl. Now, in terms of special effects, Toyoshi Nakano was not available, so Toho hired Koichi Kawakita after his impressive work on the movie Gunhead. Speaking of effects, the 84 suit used in The Return of Godzilla was lost and the studio, could not recover it, so a new suit was made. Actually, two suits, one for land, one for water, with Kenpachiro Satsuma returning to becoming Godzilla once more. Satsuma himself stated that the suits were the most comfortable suits that he's ever been in. Finally, Godzilla vs. Biollante was released in Japan on December 16, 1989, and here is this plot synopsis according to IMDb. Omega, take over, I'm going on a break.
After the devastation of Godzilla's resurgence, a miniature arms race ensues to collect his cells. The cells are obtained by the Middle Eastern nation of Suradia, where a geneticist doctor is tasked to study them. However, the cells are sought by various groups, leading to a terrorist attack that kills the doctor's daughter Erika. As the doctor retreats into isolation, the Japanese government sets its sights on developing a bioweapon countermeasure against Godzilla should the monster ever be freed from its volcanic tomb. They enlist the aid of the Doctor, whose experiments result in a monstrous new mutation, Biollante.
What, you couldn't say Dr. Shirogane properly?
You didn't fucking program me to say some Japanese names and words correctly.
Okay, you got a point. Many of us say that the return of Godzilla was the start of the Heisei era, but here's a little history lesson here. Emperor Showa, or Hirohito, lasted from 1926 to 1989, so technically the film was still part of the Showa era and the actual last Showa era Godzilla film, but continuity-wise, it is the start of the new era. With that said, my goodness, I love how everything evolved after 1984, the consequences of his attack on Tokyo, the people trying to dig up something that involves him, and the situation evolving because of Godzilla. Case in point? I love the idea of Godzilla's skin becoming a prize to those who wants to reap the benefits. One for growing plants in the desert, one for researching and figuring out how to kill him, and of course, science running amok. And I have never seen the JSDF so willing to find new ways to defeat, or kill Godzilla. My god, they're in tryhard mode. Most of the characters are well done. The standout for me being Colonel Gondo. He is so hell-bent on getting some action with the king, and he got what he wished for, but at a cost. Another character that stands out is Miki Segusa, played by Megumi Odaka. This is her film debut, and she did alright. I just think that the whole psychic thing could have been taken to a whole new level. For example, if there was one, why not more? Instead of it being implied. I say most characters are well done. That doesn't apply to the English actors. Good grief, they sound fucking terrible. I love this Godzilla design, the Biollante suit. In my eyes, it is the perfect suit. The face, the body, everything. And the design will become the standard going forward, and I love it. Biollante is a technical achievement. 20 fucking people it took to operate 32 wires for its final form. Holy shit. While I'm on the subject of special effects, Koichi Kawakita has outdid himself. Not a single wire is detected, and that is because half of the scenes are at night. The destruction of Osaka, brilliant. Godzilla's grand return, today, that would be a fucking WrestleMania entrance, and I'd love to see that live. The fights between the two monsters, glorious, and you could tell that he was having a blast. Actually, I want to mention this. There are a bunch of deleted scenes that you can easily find on YouTube. One of them is so beautiful I almost shed a tear. It's the deleted scene where after Godzilla burned Biollante, because that's exactly what he fucking did, the fields around him started blooming with flowers. It seems out of place, but I would liked it if it was kept in the film. Lastly, the music is good and it is so late 80s. BioWars has everything to do about that. I do like rock, but I would love it even more if it was heavy metal. My personal favorite is Scramble March. I love that it starts off slow, then it builds up to its final climax. Actually, as a side note, Akira Ifukube declined to score the film and in an interview stated that he didn't like the rendition of the Godzilla theme, but I thought it sounded alright. Overall, I enjoyed the hell out of Godzilla vs. Biollante. It's creative, science-driven, and well-written. Sure, it's not perfect, the English actors could have spent a year or so in acting school, but as a whole, the movie never lost my interest or my attention. Oh boy, we're skipping ahead 2 years into 1991, and I am not looking forward to it. But thankfully, there is another movie in the same year that also deals with time travel, and it doesn't fuck it up. Until then, thank you all for watching or listening. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see more of the Brumakian podcast. This has been Demetrius signing off, and hail to the king.